Hi Friday night youth. It's so good to be with you tonight, today, or whenever you're watching this recording. How good is technology? Well, for those who don't know me, my name is Aaron Fozzard and I'm the Queensland Baptists Youth and Young Adult Team Leader. What a mouthful, but that's kind of my title. What I do is I help pastors and key leaders who look after or run youth and young adult ministries. So that's pretty much my job in a nutshell. Now, my personal statement is community. I attempt to make community wherever I can go and to see people flourish. But right now, what a season we find ourselves in. A season full of turbulence, confusion, and new norms nearly every single day. And then all of that collide with our normal day-to-day life of being human. Now, there's always been turmoil. There's always been turbulence. Now, I reflect in two occasions in my life where things just went out of control. I remember in the year 2000. Yeah, that was a long time ago, 20 years ago, when I was 13. I was sitting at a friend's house and we were watching TV, and then all of a sudden, a breaking news broadcast came across the screen. It was to do with the Iraq War. The media was telling me, and my friend Stuart, that World War III is likely about to happen. This terrified me, absolutely terrified me. I had questions going through my head. What will happen? Will I die? Or will I even get a wife? Or what about the people next door? Will they be okay? All these questions came running through my head. And then I look back 7 years, so 2013, and I have a look at one of the biggest crises I found myself in. My wife was told that it's likely that you will only have 5 years to live. She was diagnosed with heart failure. This terrified me. On the drive home from the surgeon, I was like, what am I going to do, God? What am I going to do, God? I felt absolutely confused, frustrated, anxious, worried. I didn't know all these feelings were going on inside of me. I found myself in a crisis. As I drove through the tunnel from Brisbane to the Gold Coast, I asked God, what do you want to do? How can I do this? What are you doing? These questions all relate to today's or tonight's, or whenever you're viewing it, conversation. I really love the story found in Numbers 13 and 14. And there's two characters in it that I really love because they remind me a bit of me, especially Caleb. So the two guys are Joshua, son of Nun, N-U-N, just in case you're a bit confused, because that'd be weird, being a son of N-O-N-E, a bit weird. And then Caleb, son of Jephunneh. These two men show us today, wherever you find yourself, that we can get into the promised land, can have things work out for our good, if we're willing to trust God, to go to God for wisdom and clarity. So let's jump into the story. This happened a very long time ago, around 4,000 years ago, where Moses and Aaron have just led the amazing people of Israel out of the land of Egypt, where they were beaten, brutally worked as slaves, just because they were seen as a lesser person or a less people group. And God said to Moses, hey, go and free my people. So Moses did what God said. God said, free my people from Egypt and then take them to the land I will give you. Moses was told to grab the people from Egypt, the Israelites out of Egypt, and take them to the promised land, and he will give them that land. Moses, on behalf of God, led them out of Egypt. He put the staff in the ground and the waters parted, the Red Sea parted. They walked through and the water came and crushed the Egyptian soldiers. Then, when they're walking towards the promised land for many days, for many nights, God sent them food from heaven. We call it manna. God kept them warm at night by a pillar of fire. God kept them shaded from the sun by a great cloud. God provided, God protected, God was trustworthy. And now we find ourselves at the border of the promised land. God said to Moses, "Hey Moses, go and get 12 people, one leader from all of the 12 tribes of Israel, and ask them to spy out the land." And that's where we find our story tonight. We're going to start reading from Numbers chapter 13, verse 17, through to chapter 14. Moses sent them into the land to spy it out. He says to them, "Go up into the Negeb and go up into the hill country and see what the land is, and whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, or whether the land that they dwell in is good or bad, and whether the cities that they dwell in are camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are trees in it or not. Be of good courage and bring some fruit of the land." So they went up and spied out the land. At the end of the 40 days, they returned from spying out the land, and they came to Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, "We came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and it is full of fruit. However, there are giants and strong enemies everywhere." And the congregation began to panic. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it." Caleb knew that God was on their side, and God was going to give them the land in which he said they would receive. Then the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." So they brought the people of Egypt a bad report of the land that they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone to spy is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are so tall that they make us look like grasshoppers." These people, the other 10, were bringing a bad report, a false report, telling the people that this is too hard, it's impossible. So the whole of Israel rose up against Moses and Aaron, complaining and whinging. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation, "The land which we passed through is exceedingly good. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into the land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us, and so do not fear them." Then all the congregation said to stone them with stones. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the people of Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, "How long will this people despise me? And how long will they not believe in me in spite of all the signs that I have done among them? I will strike them with pestilence and disinherit them. And I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they." But Moses said to the Lord, "Then the Egyptians will hear of it, for you brought this people in your might from among them, and they will tell the inhabitants of the land. They have heard that you, O Lord, are in the midst of the people, for you, O Lord, are seen face to face, and your cloud stands over them, and you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and in a pillar of fire by night. Now, if you kill this people as one man, then the nations who have heard your fame will say, It is because the Lord was not able to bring the people into the land that he swore to give to them, that he has killed them in the wilderness. You see here, Moses is interceding, is going on the people's behalf to God, pleading with God to have some mercy on them. And the rhetoric here, the talk here from Moses to God is quite strange, because Moses was told, I will take you to the land in which I will give you. Take my people to that land and I'll give it to you. And here we hear Moses trying to help God change his mind. But God says this, then the Lord said, I have pardoned according to your word. But truly as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, none of the men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet have put me to the test these 10 times, and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I swore to give to their fathers. You see, these people saw all these things. They saw the power of God. Yet they were doubting him. They were testing him. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. Now, since the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valleys, turn around and go back towards the Red Sea. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, how long shall this wicked congregation grumble against me? I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they grumble against me. Say to them, as I live, declares the Lord, what you have said in my hearing I will do to you. Your dead bodies shall fall in this wilderness, and of all your number listed in the census from 20 years old and upward, who have grumbled against me, not one shall come into the land where I swore that I would make you dwell, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. But your little ones, who you said would become prey, I will bring in, and they shall know the land that you have rejected. You see, Caleb and Joshua knew that God was powerful. They knew that God could get them out of any crisis. The congregation were those who had followed Moses out of Egypt. So they saw everything. They saw how God delivered them from many struggles. However, unlike the congregation, Caleb and Joshua had insight and clarity. They had focus and trusted God through any situation, including this one. They relied on the facts. They saw God conquer Egyptian soldiers in the sea he parted. They saw God feed, protect, shade, and keep them warm. They knew God could have conquered the giants in Canaan. They knew God could rescue them. They knew God was reliable in uncertainty. Because of their faithfulness, God gave Caleb and Joshua access to the promised land. For us today, we must make a decision. We need to choose whether to follow and listen and obey God or trust God. God is still the same as he was back then. He wants the best for us. Why else would he have sent Jesus to die for our sins so that we could be connected back to God? The best thing for us is to go to him for clarity, wisdom, and trust that he keeps his word and he is trustworthy. The word unprecedented has been used too many times over the past few months. It is a word that helps create uncertainty in the hearts of the hearer. However, nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is unprecedented in the eyes of God. If we are willing to rely on his word, rules, and him, we can have clarity, wisdom, and trust him in any situation we find ourselves. Now, as I reflect back in the year 2000 and the year 2013, in the year 2000, just before I was sitting watching that TV show with the news broadcast, I'd given my life to Jesus. I'd chosen to follow Jesus, to recognize him as Lord and Savior, knowing that he was the one that died for my sin so that I could be connected to the Creator. I was able to get through my anxiety, my worry, my confusion, because I was walking alongside, being discipled by some older Christians who helped me, coached me, mentored me through those feelings. Then as I fast forward 2000 to 2013, I can see as I was driving through that tunnel, when I was questioning God, where are you? What are you doing? I was like, what do you want me to do? And he said, trust me, trust me, trust me. That was hard to hear because I just wanted him to heal the situation, to fix the situation. But he had given me the tools in his word, the Bible, the people in which I live with, or the community that I'm a part of, that I could walk through this with. And Nikki still has heart failure. She's not completely healed. But as Nikki and I trust God, we're able to keep moving and function as a family. And she's able to function as a woman, as a beautiful woman. So in these uncertain, unprecedented times, God is still in our midst, still in your midst. He is still over all things. We call that sovereign. He is still sovereign over our situations. There is nothing new under the sun. Look, it's easy for me to say, hey, just trust God. And I can just imagine myself when I was in my teenage years hearing that. It's pretty hard. However, it's really good. It'd be a good practice for you to talk to your leaders and to set some rhythms in your life that can help you go to God in times of worry, in times of fun, exhilaration, anxiety, all of the things that make you you. You can go to God and be thankful. You can ask for help. He's there for you. So keep your focus on God. Because while you're keeping your focus on God, He will help you deal with any crisis you find yourself in. It's not going to be easy, but He'll still be with you. Choose to trust Him. Go to His word for knowledge and wisdom. Go to Him in prayer and ask Him to help you. It is likely that He wants to help you. He is just waiting for you to look to Him. I'm almost certain He wants to help you. Will you look to Him?